Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about celebrating champions, right? Celebrating Dragonslayers. All right. So I'm incredibly fortunate right now. I happen to live in Philadelphia, and it could not have been. It could not be a better time right now to be a Philadelphia sports fan, which I am not. But I am jumping on the bandwagon. I have been lifted up by others and have made it firmly into a seat on the bandwagon, right? So, and last night, it was a tremendous night for me and my family. We had just such a blast. It's pretty wild. So me and my wife, we have four beautiful children, but only one is still in the house. The rest of our kids are out in the work world, or at college, right? And we just don't see them that often anymore. But we still are blessed to have one. Our youngest son is in 10th grade, and he is by far the most active Garibay athlete that has ever existed. It's not even close. He has gone full beast mode on soccer. He plays basketball in the spring, and there's even talk right now of him going on. He plays these sports for his school, and there's talk of him joining a travel team, which is I'm amazed any Garibay could ever be considered for a travel team. Sports really just aren't in our blood. We're just not that good at it, and but this really is incredible, right? So my son wanted to see the Phillies in the World Series, so last night we watched them, right? And we've been watching the World Series all along, but last night was incredible. The Phillies were major underdogs. This entire World Series started with people going to Houston Astros. The only question is if the Houston Astros will sweep the Phillies or not. The Phillies are going to get wrecked. Even my son said that. He's like, "Well, we're going to watch it. We'll have fun, but the Phillies are almost certainly not going to win." Last night, the Phillies just took it to the Houston Astros and beat them 7-0, right? And in Game 3, and now the Phillies are up 2-1, right? So the underdog has become the overdog, right? And what's really incredible is just the amount of celebration that was in my house. And I am the worst possible, sports fan. But what do I like? I sure like celebrating a champion. I sure like celebrating a Dragonslayer, and that's what the Phillies are, right? And right now they're the Dragonslayer. Houston was the dragon, right? They were, Houston had the weapons. They had the breath weapon. They had the claws. They had the tail. They had the claw bite, dragon, breath weapon follow up, right? And that Soul Knight, with sword and board, was not expected to do well, right? He was expected to. How would it end? It was expected to end medium well, right? Like the night was going to be medium well. Like nobody expected this, right? But one thing that's really astounding to me is I now know these Phillies names, right? I can say them off: John Segura, Alec Boehm, right? Bryce Harper, right? Bryson Stott, okay? Aaron Nola, right? These guys are champions. They are champions. They are Dragonslayers, and I know their name. Oh, how could I forget? Ranger Suarez, right? These guys are epic Dragonslayers, and they have come and they are shocking the world right now. Now what I really like is this reminds me of one of the aspects I love about Perkinian Dungeons and Dragons. Perkinian Dungeons and Dragons. So in the old days, and still happening in the OSR, you would come to a Dungeons and Dragons table and they were like, "Listen, you're going to be a dirt farmer, and I'm the dungeon master. I'm going to rub your nose in the dirt for about 6 to 18 months, and then you'll have a part where maybe you'll have a few skills, and maybe 3 or 4 years from now, your character will be decent and you'll be a Dragonslayer." All that noise is gone. You are an absolutely reaping adventurer from the gate in Perkinian Dungeons and Dragons. You matter, right? You are a Dragonslayer. Like, literally the Essentials kit, right, is Dragon's Peak. All the starter boxes have a dragon in them now, right? You are considered a champion. You are considered someone who matters, and a powerful champion to be celebrated, a Dragonslayer to be celebrated. And, at these first, second, third, fourth level, you're not a literal Dragonslayer yet. But one of the things that I think I love about D&D is when our adventurers come in and is Dungeons and Dragons itself says you matter. No more. The dirt farmer days are done. You don't have to. You don't have to get your nose ground in the dirt by some, schmuck dungeon master for 6 to 18 months for your character to be a champion, for people to know their name when they walk into the village, for them to be celebrated wherever they go, right? Because they are champions. They are Dragonslayers. If they're not literal Dragonslayers, they are treated like Dragonslayers because these people know that your adventure is a winner, right? Now, I've been doing this all along, right? But I know for a fact there are a bunch of OSR nonsense game masters out there who are very much like, oh, I hope you enjoy your 18 months of humbleness at my feet, dirt farmer, right? And those days, and that's the thing I really love is that's what modern Dungeons and Dragons has done is it has slayed the dragon of ignorant dungeon masters who insist that you have a suck game for 18 months, right? And all of that has been abandoned, and we're moving forward. And I am incredibly excited to be heralding these champions of baseball, these Dragonslayers, Ranger Suarez and Bryce Harper and and Aaron Nola and John Segura, right? And it's astounding to me that I know their names, but they win, right? And that's what your adventure does in Dungeons & Dragons. They win. And if you have a dungeon master who is not letting that happen from day one, if you aren't heralded every time you walk into a village, move on to the next dungeon master. Get somebody who's going to treat your player character like a champion. And if you're a dungeon master out there running these 6 to 18 month dirt farmer arcs, stop it. It's wrong, and it's not what Dungeons & Dragons is about today. All that's my humble opinion, and I'm eager to hear yours. Let me know in the comments below. Are you watching the Phillies crush in the World Series? I'd love to hear. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.